the unknown, down the rabbit hole, where it stops no one knows. We're going head into the unknown. Na, 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 na.
Hello, everybody. Happy early Tuesday. I hope that you guys are all doing very, very well. Hi, Glory Danza. Hi, Carla. Hi, Grace. Hi, Ashley. K. Breeze. Hi, Mrs. Troy. Hi, freaking Carol Claus. Rexy. Hey, Shaz. Hey, Ramblin' Rome. Hey, Shmida. Hello, love. K. Breeze. Mad Marsha. This salty co-author is chapping my arse. Oh, yeah. I'm like, I have to, you guys. I have to. Like, this is just too much. This guy he's all over the place. Yeah, we're leaving the Delphi hole for a minute. You know, I gotta talk about something else for a hot minute, because that Delphi is just driving me insane. And I'm like, maybe if I take a step back, I'll get some perspective on that. But this is just too intriguing to not talk about. Hey, Mama Stone. Hey, Martin. Hi, Bonnie. Hi, Glory Danza. Glory Danza. Glory Danza. What's up, Todd? Yeah, go back down here. I think I've double said hi to some of you. Hey, Stacy. Hey, Peppermint Tea. Hi, BG. Heather. Heather Bratt's here. Let me make sure I didn't miss anybody. I think I got off. If I didn't, hi, everybody. So, I wasn't live yesterday. I went live on It's a Crime and Shame last night. We had a great conversation about Delphi and just where everybody's kind of at with it. BH, nope, not that I haven't seen anything on anything Delphi. I've actually tried to stay away from it today. But you know, it's still early. It's only 11 here. I'm bad, March. I'm completely new here. I just can't yet with all the Delphi stuff. Oh, well, welcome. At least we're not doing that. You're prepping some cabbage soup. Some cabbage soup. So there's so much happening with all the other cases that I follow, and I've been keeping up on them, but not able to talk about them as much. So I wanted to. We're gonna play a little bit of catch up on the Murdoch stuff real quick. If you guys aren't familiar with the case, which you guys probably all are. But just, oh man, how far back do we go? So in 2019, Paul Murdoch, who is the younger son of Maggie and Alec, got into a boat accident while drinking and ended up killing one of his passengers, Mallory Beach. This kind of just unfolds a whole bunch of things that happen after this. And in 2021, Paul and his mom Maggie ended up shot on the property, and Alec became one of the prime suspects. Not going to go through all the details of why I think what I think and whatnot, because I've got a whole playlist if you guys want to go back through Murdoch stuff, the whole trial and everything. So what happens is he ends up going to trial, or he ends up actually getting arrested. I should backtrack. Let me backtrack that for a second too. So That happens in the summer of 2021, and then in September of 2021, he actually gets shot while changing a tire on the side of the road. And you guys who are just listening and not watching, there was some air quotes there because he wasn't changing a tire. It was a setup that he had his drug buddy, Cousin Eddie, come and shoot him because he wanted to die, but wanted to make sure that his living son, the older son, Buster, was able to get his all the inheritance. He ends up going into a drug rehab, says he's had an opioid addiction for many, many years that it's just escalated into craziness. He ends up getting arrested for insurance fraud and theft. It's just an immense amount of charge. It's over 100 charges when it comes to money, like financial crimes. And so he ends up getting arrested for that. And while he's actually being held for the financial crimes, a grand jury actually comes in and indicts him on the murders of his wife and youngest son. So he ends up on trial. We covered the trial at the beginning of the year, and he ends up being found guilty on those charges. So he ends up getting life sentences for the murders of his wife and son. So he still was going to trial for the financial crimes, and most of them were actually going to be separate. Well, the Attorney General's office comes in and they offer him a plea deal. They work out a plea deal where he ends up getting 27 years for all. I mean, it's millions of dollars. If you guys aren't familiar, it's millions of dollars and a lot of victims, whether it be somebody who passed away and he was getting an insurance claim for their surviving family members, whether it was somebody who was injured while working and he was getting a claim for that, and he was just siphoning money. And then it was just a huge thing. He got some of his friends involved in it who ended up having to also go to prison for the financial crimes. Just a complete nightmare of, I couldn't even imagine. So recently he's been back in the news because Judge Newman, who's one of my favorite judges of all time, he accepts the plea deal that Alex Murdaugh's going to serve 27 years for the financial crimes. So there's like a 5.5 hour hearing, and I'm not going through all of that. So I'm just going to give you guys some of the highlights, and I can't go through that anyway because there's two attorneys that are one that talks for like 25 minutes in that thing, and he just drives me up a freaking wall. But it's on Court TV. If you haven't watched it, you can watch it. So he ends up accepting the plea for the 27 years. That just happened. That's like really recent. And Alec gets to actually talk to the victims, and he stands up there for like 55 minutes, and he's like, "Oh, I'm sorry for what I did to you, but I didn't kill my wife and son." He's essentially still claiming his innocence. Well, back in September of this year, his attorneys, which I like Dick Harpootlian's Little Poop, but people are not big fans of Alec Murdaugh's attorneys. Jim Griffin, yeah, I can take him or leave him, but I like little Dick Poop. So they hold a press conference and essentially say they were filing for an appeal. They were filing for an appeal on the murder conviction. Well, what they had done in September was actually ask for like a stay. They wanted the ability to still appeal, but they wanted to hold off on it pending the opportunity for a new trial. And they based wanting a new trial on the fact that the clerk of the court, whose name is Becky Hill, had written a book called Behind the Doors of Justice. And she has a co-author on the book, but we're going to get there in a second. That she had, hi C-Dub. Hi everybody that just popped in. I don't want to lose where I'm at. But hello everybody. So they wanted to hold off on the murder conviction appeal pending a motion to get a new trial. And the appellate court did offer them that they allowed them the stay. So that's interesting too. And basically the stay is because you have certain amount of time limits that you have to be able to, that you have to file certain things in order, to file them essentially. And so they needed to be able to file it, but don't actually want it yet. So they're saying that this Becky Hill, clerk of the court, writes this book, and what she's doing is that she actually was talking to the jurors during Alec Murdaugh's murder trial, essentially telling them like that she wanted them to make sure that they voted guilty when the time came. There's speculation that there's one juror who ended up getting kicked off of the jury right at the end. I mean, right at the end of the whole thing, that Becky Hill wanted her removed because she was leaning towards voting not guilty, that she didn't feel that the prosecution had proved their case. So these jurors come forward and they actually talk to Dick Harpootlian. Do I have that video? I think I might actually still have that. Let me see if I have it. I do. So they talk to Dick Harpootlian and are telling him like, hey, yeah, she was doing some shady things. So, hold on. Let me pause it. She was doing some shady things and she was talking to the jurors and she was, and she's not supposed to do that. Like, her job as clerk of the court is to just run the court. Like, it's to manage things around the court. She's not allowed to influence a juror. Nobody in the court is allowed to influence a juror. Yeah, we all know about Egg Lady. So let me pull this up and I'll play this for you guys first. I can't believe a clerk of the court wrote a book either, Bella. And that's why if you guys do follow anything that I do with the Delphi case, I'm like, that clerk of the court is the one who actually should write a book. But so I did not buy this book. I actually have it in my Amazon shopping cart because I'm considering it. But everybody who has read it says it's so bad, that it's such a bad book. I don't know. I might do it just for shits and giggles. We'll see. Let me pull this on screen for you guys. No, I actually don't. I don't think so, Rexy. And I think that what's happening and some of the things that we're going to go through now are really going to start to kind of show, as we know, not everybody, not all people are good people. And so just because one isn't good doesn't mean the other one has to be good. Does that make sense? I'm thinking you got Becky Hill, who I think is shady. I think she's doing some shady things. I think she knew as soon as she heard that the trial was going to be held in her courtroom, she knew what she was going to do. She knew that it was. Now, does that make Alec innocent or guilty in any which way? No, I just think that you got two sides of a bad coin there. If you don't think Poot and Jim had a hand in that juror, I don't know what to tell you. You think you do, C-Dub? Okay, hold on. I'm going to play this for you guys. Yeah, get a Dr. Pepper. Get a doctor. You're going to need it. If it gets overturned on appeal, Murdoch will be convicted again. Plus, he's doing 27 years and still to be sentenced in federal court. Hi, Mark. Hi, ATS. Yeah, Becky. I think Becky's a little calculating. Yeah. Yeah, that's, yeah. So that's interesting. You guys actually, okay, so I'm going to play this for you guys first. You think the lawyers had something to do with Egg Lady or with the jurors coming forward on the complaint? Because there's multiple jurors. It's not just one. Okay, let me play this for you guys. You know what? I don't know if I shared sound. Tell me if you can hear it.
We're trying to delve into everything, and you wrote it.
I'm going to pause it because I don't actually think I shared the sound. We feel differently on this case. There's an echo because I didn't mute, but you can hear it. Okay, perfect. That's all I needed to know. And then I'm going to mute anyway. So, but I didn't want to play it for too long when I was like, wait a minute, I don't think I actually did what I was supposed to. Okay, here you go.
So, we're handling an appeal and we're trying to delve into everything, and you wrote an email to the judge, yes, right? Sir. Okay. And what we'd like to figure out is what happened to cause you to do that. You worked with And she said to you what?
She was talking about the trial, and she said that her landlord had came over. She had needed a refrigerator replacement, and her landlord came over, and she was, telling her that she's a jury, and that she thinks Alex is, not guilty or isn't guilty of it, and she does.
Or did she say that they hadn't proved him guilty?
She told me that she said that she thought Alex was not guilty.
Okay. And so...
And I felt, not even though that she's saying that, but even though she said, I feel Alex is guilty or isn't guilty, I feel as a juror, you wasn't supposed to be telling nobody you're a juror.
Right. Okay.
And I'm just felt
we're not being critical of that.
Yeah.
So how did you come to write an email to the judge? Did you call somebody? Did you talk to somebody?
I talked to a friend of mine, and I told her what was going on. She lives in Georgia. She's my sister, actually. We've been best friends for 20 plus years, so. And she told me that, the best thing to do is maybe look and see if you can get Judge Schuman's email and maybe email him.
Did you ever talk to the court Becky?
No, I did not.
Did you talk to any SWAT agents? Anybody interview you?
No, nobody's talked to me.
So that email was just a result. You sent it. Nobody told you to send it. That was your idea to send it.
Yes, nobody's told me to send it. Nobody. I didn't even know. She just worked it up, and she said maybe he'll get it, maybe he won't. I just felt like.
Where'd you get the email from?
Oh, you can look it up. I can't remember how I found it, but I found it. I typed this name in and.
Only question I'd ask is, after you sent the email, did somebody contact you to find out who these people were, so they could go follow up with them?
No, nobody did.
So
I never once indicated who my where I worked. I never once indicated who she was. And I still got the email.
No, we have the email.
Yeah, I never once indicated, and then, I think it was the day after that, or maybe the day, like 2 days after that, she told us at work that she wasn't going to be able to come because she had to go in because of,
Did you ever tell her you were the one that?
I did not. I'm pretty sure she may know, but we never discussed it.
Are you still working at?
Yes, we both
You still her? See her? Okay. You got anything else?
No one responded. No.
But the email didn't say. They said it was her tenant, but you didn't never use her name. I mean, I've read it.
Yeah, I never used her name. I didn't want. I was trying not to bring her in it, but if the judge wanted to ask me questions, I was just like, I would tell him if he asked.
Right.
So when I never got an email back, I was wondering the same thing how they figured out who it was.
Yeah.
Because I didn't even know if it was a number or a name. I just knew it was a juror.
Did you say you worked? I can't remember the email. You in there?
I do not remember exactly.
I don't think so. What, you got it? Yeah, that's the email.
Yes.
No. So I wonder how they did. She had the number of rental properties.
Unless they knew, I don't know. The only thing I could think of is maybe they knew she had rental properties, and maybe she was the only one with rental properties. And unless they looked into them, I do not know. Nobody contacted me at all. I have no reason to.
What we may want to do is get an affidavit from you that no one ever contacted you with questions. Can you do that? We're going to be back here on Sunday. Will you be around?
Yeah, I'll plan on something.
Okay, all the affidavit is going to say is you sent this email and no one ever contacted you with questioned you about who it was or anything specific. Right?
Okay, I'm gonna pause it there for a second. So this person is recording the interaction, the person that they're talking to. And the person they're talking to is a friend of the egg lady who sent an email to the court. Nobody responded to her email, but if you shoot, maybe I'd have to go back and pull that clip. But when they're talking to egg lady, they're talking about this email, but nobody ever actually contacted her to get any follow-up. So one of the reasons she was supposedly kicked off was because she was talking to a tenant and so on and so forth at work about how she felt about the trial. So he's there talking to her and she's recording it. That's kind of what the premise behind this is. So essentially what he's trying to say is they're using this, but nobody ever actually investigated it. And so I think it was Heather might have asked, like, why is he questioning her? Because he's trying to find out who followed up. That's why he's asking the questions. The verdict is already done by the time he's having this conversation. So this is when they're talking about trying to get a new trial. So they have the motion in for a new trial. They were granted the stay on the appeal to be able to file the appeal later. But he's just trying to figure out, how are they using this document, this email that this random lady sent, and nobody ever followed up with her. Nobody ever investigated it. Nobody knows if she's telling the truth because nobody's followed up to find any proof of it. So that's kind of where everything's at. Hey, Chris. Hi, Serendipity. What's up, Angela? Hi, Dom. I don't know if you had left the other day, but I was thanking you for the PayPal. I think you may have already left. So I hope that you're doing well, and thank you very much for sending that. I appreciate it. So that's what this is, and that's why he's doing the questioning and trying to figure out what the hell's going on. Because they're using the affidavit from Egg Lady saying, "Hey, I got kicked off the case, but I shouldn't have been." And that I got kicked off the case because Becky Hill was asking me what I thought of what my thought on the verdict was going to be. You didn't get a notification. What? You still think it's a setup? Well, I mean, this is like the whole, like, the defense attorney type of thing. Like, they're going around and doing all the things that they can do. But I think the bigger question is she shady? Because the lawyers being shady, unless they're doing unethical shady. But the lawyers being like, shady is probably not even the right word, but the bigger question I think at play is Becky, and as we go through some of these things, you're going to see what I'm talking. Wasn't there a juror who was the brother of one of the LEO that testified? Yes, there was. I thought it was strange too, but they actually all accepted that. They supposedly had him like in chambers and talked to him, and everybody agreed to let him stay on the jury. I don't know why. That is a bad idea in my opinion. Hi, Aaron. It feels like the appropriate word. Okay, maybe. Okay, so but that's essentially what that is. So I wanted to show you guys that. So that's kind of where everything is at. So she writes this book, and she has this co-author, and essentially the defense attorneys are saying that she was using her position as the clerk of the court to influence the jurors into voting that he was guilty. Now, would the jurors have voted guilty anyway? We don't know. That's kind of the whole thing, is you don't know. And so what's going to happen? Let me see if I should play this one next. Maybe I'll play this one next. Hold on. Where is it? Where are you? There we go. Hold on, you guys. The dogs are barking. Hold on. Give me 1 second. I'll be right back. Okay, sorry, you guys. My mother-in-law was stopped by to drop off something, so the dogs were barking at her. So I had to grab that real quick. I apologize. Sorry. Where was I at? Oh, I was going to play this. Should I play this one next? Someone call her. Did you guys not hear me say that I'd be right back? Did nobody? I don't know. Maybe you guys missed it. I don't know. Maybe I didn't say it. Maybe I was muted. Okay. All right. We'll play this one next. So this is Fitz News. If you guys are familiar with this case, you're probably very familiar with Fitz News. They have covered everything Murdoch from there. It's like a local news. They've covered everything Murdoch from the beginning. There used to be somebody who worked with them. She left, though, and she actually wrote a book of her own that I did buy. So I'm going to play this for you guys now.
Let me ask you this. Everything that's coming out now that we're hearing now, I mean, even last week we talked about it on the show, I'm struggling to accept some of these allegations as fact. I'm struggling to accept very close to Becky.
So they've actually interviewed Becky Hill on their channel.
Thing that's coming out now that we're hearing now.
Can you guys hear that?
Even last week we talked about it on the show. I'm struggling to accept some of these allegations as fact. I'm struggling to accept that there could be some credibility to these jury tampering allegations. Where are you right now on the bottom line related to these allegations against Becky Hill?
I think you know that I have always struggled to accept that any of these allegations could be true.
It is really low.
I've always leaned towards
I don't know why it's so low, because it's really,
if there was any validity.
it was really loud on my own end. All right, hold on. Let me get out of here. It's their audio that's low. And, I have tiny ears, so I don't hear well. Okay, so I'll just read it for you guys then instead, which is fine. So essentially, this last week, Becky Hill had 2 ethics complaints filed against her, and they're supposed to be anonymous. One of them is now public, and the other one isn't, but they're essentially the same thing. So I'll read you this one, and it's stating that she was misappropriating her position to get information to write a book, which, I mean, she wrote the book. So before she wrote the book, she had actually contacted this commission and asked them, if it would be, ethical to write the book. And they didn't say no. And I'm not probably going to misquote it, but they essentially said something along the lines of, if you were during your position gathering any of the information you're going to use in the book, then I probably wouldn't do it. Hi, malicious intent. It was good for you? Okay. Let me see. That's fine, because like I said, I'll just read through it anyway. So they released the first one. It was, as with all these high profile cases, it was actually leaked because it's not supposed to be public. And now the question is, who leaked it? The people who would have had copies of it are the courthouse, the person who wrote the letter, and Becky Hill and her attorneys. So, all right, 1 second. Okay, so this is the complaint that's out there, but there are 2. So this is the written statement of blank regarding the unethical behavior of the Colleton County Clerk of Court, Becky Hill. Hill is the elected clerk of court and was in office at the time of the Murdoch trial. Since the beginning of the trial, Hill has utilized her authority, the Colleton County Courthouse, and taxpayers' money outside the scope of routine court business. Through interviews with various media sources, Hill admits that she planned to write a book as soon as she discovered Murdoch would be adjudicated in Colleton County. Hill also used her position to make contacts prior to trial that could assist her in this endeavor. These admissions can be discovered in local news sources and social media posts. During the Murdoch trial, Hill used her political position and authority to obtain confidential information and digital images of the defendant and others during the trial. At the conclusion of the trial, Hill was interviewed by members of Netflix and was responsible for releasing unredacted body cam footage. On the second anniversary of the Murdoch murders, June 9th of 2023, Hill appeared in a news article on WalterboroughLive.com, and in this article she acknowledged the release of her book, Behind the Doors of Justice, and in this article, Hill claims the book will detail interactions with Murdoch, attorney tensions, witnesses, and jurors. I submit that releasing this information to the public could have an adverse effect in upholding the conviction of Murdoch in the event of an appeal. It is well known that Hill allows guided tours of the Colleton County Courthouse during normal business hours for quote-unquote donations. This information has been made on Facebook posts. In some of the posts, several citizens are seen posing for pictures in the holding cell that Murdoch occupied during the trial. Hill tells attendees that donations are to replace the front windows of the courthouse. It is also known a male tourist wrote a check to Colleton County in the amount of $100 as a donation for a tour, and Hill later ordered a staff member to alter the check by striking through Colleton County and adding her name to the check. Hill then deposited the check into her personal bank account. The donations are unaccounted for as there are no receipts being issued, and it is unknown what financial institution and account on the donations are being held in. On June 2nd of 2023, Hill permitted Hampton County author Michael DeWitt to promote, sell, and sign copies of his newly released book, Wicked Hampton County, inside the main courtroom of the Colleton County Courthouse during business hours. DeWitt posted this information on Facebook, and it was also published on BlufftonToday.com. In the post, DeWitt indicates, I will be selling and signing copies of Wicked Hampton County and talking about the South Carolina Low Country's rich but often wicked history this Friday, June 2nd, during tours of the Colleton County Courthouse from 9 a.m. to noon and from 2 to 4 p.m. and again on June 16th. Wicked Hampton County is already a bestseller among true crime new releases on Amazon, but this will be a great way to hear some of these wicked stories firsthand and meet the author along with the Colleton County Clerk of Court, Becky Bloom-Hill, and her staff. This post by DeWitt is demonstrative as it admits routine court business being interrupted on multiple days for several hours to permit Hill and her staff to interact with visitors while abandoning their duties and allowing the courthouse to be utilized for commerce. During these tours, Hill is also verbally promoting her book. Hill has permitted her staff members to leave work before the close of business to allow members of Netflix to set up equipment in the courthouse for the purpose of filming footage for an upcoming Netflix series. As of June 14th, 2023, there was a post in the Facebook group Murdoch Murders Case Discussion, and in the post there is a digital image of Alex Murdaugh resting on a bed with a book inside a holding cell. This post was uploaded by Melissa Gordon, the photographer of Behind the Walls of Justice. Gordon stated this image was taken from the security camera monitor during the deliberations and minutes before Murdoch's conviction. This shows Becky Hill permitted Gordon unimpeded access to the Colleton County Courthouse and facilitated her in taking digital images that no other citizen was permitted to have. Gordon was also allowed into the courthouse every day of the trial, even though it was first come, first served basis. In the post, there was a link to additional images. When the reader clicks on the link, it takes the reader to the Behind the Doors of Justice website where Hill's book can be purchased. As the days passed and Hill continued to participate in interviews with multiple sources, she admitted formulating a plan to write her book when she heard the trial would be held in Colleton County. She also admitted to meeting Melissa Gordon at the beginning of the trial and discovered she was a photographer. Gordon was soon hired to be the photographer of Hill's book. This information can be found by listening to the podcast Impact of Influence, episode 130, a behind-the-scenes look at the Murdoch trial. During the Murdoch trial, Clerk of Court Becky Hill has unethically and potentially unlawfully used her political office to obtain and release confidential information. She has used her office and misallocated funds to promote her book and the book written by Michael DeWitt. Hill has neglected the office of Clerk of the Court to take several trips to promote her book and to meet with Netflix to secure her position in the upcoming series. Hill's actions have displayed she is unfit to hold the office of Clerk of Court. So I need to be very clear. Anybody can write and submit an ethics claim like this. This is not substantiated. So this would be up to the ethics board to investigate it, go through it, and see what comes of it. So as of right now, this is just a person who's writing a letter saying, "Hey, this is what we think." So this isn't fact. It still has to be investigated. So you guys have to take that for what it is. Now there are a few things on here that I find very interesting. One, I'll start right here just because it's on the screen still. This episode, I believe she actually states that she met Melissa Gordon towards the end of the trial. And I don't know if that's ever said differently on another episode of anything, but I'm almost positive she actually states that she met her like one of the last days. So the other complaint does talk about the fact that Becky Hill was, doing these things unethically while serving as clerk of the court. It's essentially the same thing. Oh, Don, thank you very much. I appreciate that. Thank you. Employed by their PR machine. Very possible. I'm with you, Mark. I think it's going to be. I think that they're going to end up with a new trial. So let me show you guys this part. So Becky Hill wrote the book with her co-author, Mr. Gordon. Mrs. Gordon is the one who took pictures. Now do I have that one handy? Let me see if I have it handy. The picture that they're referring to. Where he's like laying in his cell waiting for the jury to come back. I know I have it. I just don't know if I have it handy. No, I don't. Oh yeah, absolutely. But I do think that seems to be where it's going, and it seems that both sides are almost just set on that is what is going to happen. What do I have up here for you guys? I think it's this one.
But when you ask people, oh yeah, we like her, nice, she's great. That's why all is significant, because everyone down there that met her.
Since
I haven't heard anyone say.
Since I can't play the Fitz News one because the volume's so low, let me play. I wasn't going to play this because I was going to show you what he said on his own channel, but Vinny had the guy from Fitz News on last night as well, but I didn't want to do both. So let me I'll play it from here because the sound is better.
Investigation into Clerk Hill, into her son, the information technology director down there in Colleton County, has been referred by the 14th Circuit Solicitor to a state grand jury, which is a significant
down in the Low Country. So a lot of this has been reported locally by Fitz News down in the Low Country of South Carolina. And I spoke with Will Folks from Fitz News about this earlier today. Take a listen.
The latest information we've got from down here in South Carolina is that the investigation into Clerk Hill, into her son, the information technology director down there in Colleton County, has been referred by the 14th Circuit Solicitor to a state grand jury, which is a significant development, but also a potentially controversial development because obviously the state grand jury was the entity that was investigating Alec Murdoch on all these financial crimes. Creighton Waters is the lead prosecutor for that entity, obviously someone with a stake in the verdict, the guilty verdict on the double homicide.
So this referral, there's a lot of conduct that's been discussed relative to Becky Hill. Do we know what specific conduct is at issue here?
You know, we don't. All we know at this point is that according to Solicitor Stone, anyway, he expects the ethics complaints that have been filed against Clerk Hill, and there are two of those that were filed with the South Carolina State Ethics Commission. Both of those we have been told will be submitted for criminal prosecution, and obviously that would then fold into the grand jury if that is accurate. But yeah, the solicitor confirmed to us today that those ethics complaints against Becky Hill are going to be part of that grand jury investigation.
Okay, so, and thank you, Harlot, for bringing that up. So Becky's son, it's just it just doesn't end. Becky's son, who works for Colleton County, was charged with illegally recording phone conversations. Let me see. I'm going to try to find the article on that so I can just show you. So he was caught. Freaking A. Of course not. Why would you let me have access to an article? Let me go find a different one. He was caught essentially listening to conversations that had to do with Becky Hill so that he could give her the information. Let me see if this one will work. He could give her the information so she could stay up to date on what the investigation looked like into her book and what these people were saying about her. So the South Carolina Law Enforcement Division, SLED, says that it is investigating reports of misconduct regarding Jeff Hill. Hill was arrested on November 21st and booked at the Colleton County Detention Center, and he's charged with wiretapping. An arrest affidavit states that Hill was working as the Colleton County Information Technology Director when he misused his position to unlawfully intercept and listen to the conversation between several people back in July of 2023. The defendant was not a party of the communication, and neither victim was aware that they were being recorded, nor had they given consent for their conversation to be recorded. He was released on a $20,000 personal recognizance bond and is expected to have his first hearing in January. You can't make this shit up, I'm telling you. Yeah, he either was suspended or fired. I don't know, but he's not currently working there. Yeah, it seems that they're abusing the power that they have. Yeah, I mean, he could have been fired. I know he's not currently there. So yeah, so he was in here just eavesdropping on people because he had the ability to do so. So he wanted to find out, well, like what's going on with mom's case, and so he could feed her the info. He wasn't too bright for a tech director. He had to know what he was doing and could be tracked. It's like mind-boggling that this guy is just like, I'll just go in and listen to these conversations so I can give mom a heads up. Why do that if your mom didn't do anything wrong? why does he not believe that his mom didn't do anything wrong? So he's trying to figure out if if she did. I don't know. It's very strange. So you have that element too. There's just all kinds of shady stuff happening. That's why I'm like, just because one is shady doesn't mean the other one can't be too. So.
Okay, what do we know about the ethics complaints? First, do we know who was making the complaints?
Right. The complaints were submitted anonymously. We know that they were submitted by 2 employees of Colleton County. Don't have the names. There's obviously been a lot of discussion about who submitted the complaints, but what we've tried to do is simply base our reporting on what was alleged in these documents. And again, as you probably followed this saga as close as anybody, you know that this Murdoch story has inspired a lot of strong feelings. There's been a lot of factionalism, and I think too often people have zeroed in on it sort of being like a team sport rather than what it should be, which is a search for justice. And you had Joe McCulloch on your show a while back, and I think some may argue he had picked some sides on this. One of the prominent attorneys down here in South Carolina, but he said something that I think people really should keep in their minds as this story moves forward. The only thing we need to be invested in, again, is the truth, is justice. And so, yes, I do think it matters who submitted the complaints, but ultimately it matters a great deal more what's in them.
Now, can you list for us, kind of go through point by point what some of these allegations are in these complaints against Becky Hill?
Certainly. In the first complaint, the general allegation is that she used her access to the Murdoch trial, essentially as an elected official, to enrich herself via the publication of her book. Essentially, that she would have never had an opportunity to do that were it not for her official position. That's generally the basis of the first complaint, and there's some ancillary details in there involving, some alleged court tours that money was taken from, and so that's sort of the basis of the first complaint. The second complaint, at least to me, is much more interesting. It involves 7 different pots of money that flow through the clerk's office down there in Colleton, including 2 federal pots of money tied to child support enforcement actions. And the allegation there is that some of these funds may have been misappropriated by Clerk Hill.
What I'm not hearing from you is anything related to what happened with the jury in the Murdoch trial. So what can you tell us about that?
You are a very
Okay, so the second one, that's the one we don't have access to that he's talking about, and how there's other misappropriation of funds that are happening. And since we don't have access to that complaint, this is really all we kind of get. Even on his own channel, they don't really dive too much further into the second one, I think because nobody's really read it. They're just hearing about it. But one of the things that Vinny's bringing up is that it doesn't actually, these complaints don't have anything to do with the actual motion for a new trial filed by the defense team. They're not actually talking about the jury tampering. So it'll lead credence, though, to the fact that Becky Hill chose to write a book, and in doing so, she acted unethically, right? And if that's the case for the motion for the new trial, and then they have these ethical complaints saying that she does things unethically, it'll support what they're claiming for the new trial, which I think is where C-Dub's coming from and saying, hey, this is kind of part of the plan. So I'm gonna skip more of what he says. You guys you can go watch it on Fitz News too. But this is where it gets this. I'm gonna tell you, this is actually why I really wanted to do this live today. And I know that LFT and Tia aren't in here, but I followed Murdoch a lot with them, and from Decipher podcast, and I sent this to them immediately last night. And I'm like, oh my gosh, you guys have to watch this. It's just, did anybody in chat watch this last night on Court TV? I was cooking dinner when it happened, and I was like, holy smokes, freaking Vinny Politan.
Just about
Okay,
2 hours ago.
This is the co-author of Becky's book. They wrote the book together. And his wife, Melissa Gordon, is the one that they're talking about having being allowed to go to the courtroom all the time whenever she wanted, even though it was first come, first serve, and that she's the one who had access to these photos that the public shouldn't have had access to. Now, did his wife, Melissa, get the photos from Becky? I don't know. That's something that's all going to be up to investigation.
Water. Here we go. I'm ready.
Maybe I'm going to join you.
Good, good.
I'll drink to that.
You drink to that. Okay. So you just heard my interview that I did just, about 2 hours ago with Fitz News. And my understanding is you're upset with the way all this is being portrayed, the way this is being reported. So what's your side of this? And what did you want to tell us tonight? Because we want to cover every side of every story.
Well, appreciate that, Vinny. First and foremost, besides being Becky's co-author, I'm the husband of Melissa Gordon, who took care of the photography. And I was very, very upset, not only in Will's publication, but also TikTok Lori with her rants the other day.
I'm going to pause it there. So he's talking about Will from Fitz News that we just listened to. And then, but before he gets too far into this, I've got, if you guys don't know who this is, she goes by Lawyer Lori on TikTok. So I'm going to skip what he says just so that you guys have context to what he's talking about. Hi, Necessary Evil. Let me rewind it. I like Lawyer Lori. So.
Welcome back to the Shit Show, everybody. Here is where the Shit Show meets the Murdoch case, courtesy of the Clerk of Court, Becky Hill. So while Becky Hill is out there writing a very shitty book about how terrible Ellett Murdoch is and how they knew he was guilty, she apparently has been treating this courthouse in this county as if it were her own fucking playground. So let's talk about all of the different ways that Becky Hill, Clerk of Court of Colleton County, has allegedly fucked up. First, there's the allegation that everybody knows that she had improper contact with the jurors, and that could potentially get Ellett Murdoch a new trial. Well, did she do that? I don't know. She denies it. But in the state's response to the defense's motion, they admit that she had contact with the juror. They just say it wasn't material and it didn't affect anybody's decision on whether he was guilty or innocent. So that's fuck up number one. Fuck up number two is actually writing a damn book about it. So Becky contacted the State Ethics Commission and asked, can I write this book? They basically said, not if your ability to write the book arose out of your employment with the state. Now, that's basically saying don't write the book. She wrote the book anyway. Other people told her not to write the book. She wrote the book anyway. There is no way you can tell me that the ability to write this behind the scenes book did not arise out of your employment with the state, with the county. It definitely did. Fuck up number three. Did Becky steal money from the county? It's looking a whole lot like she did. So Becky was allowing people to come in and tour the courthouse, tour that nice little holding cell where Alex spent so much time. People who were golfers were coming in and looking. Meanwhile, Becky's saying the courthouse needs new windows. If you'd like to make a donation, we're not charging you for the tour, but you can certainly make a donation. Well, at least one of those was a check for $100 that Becky crossed off County of Colleton and put her name and deposited it into her bank account. That's the allegation. There are rumors that she stole more money than that, but we know that that is definitely a complaint that is filed with the Ethics Commission, and that one will land you in jail if true. Fuck up number four. We know that Becky's son was arrested for eavesdropping on the deputy county administrator. Now, why would he be eavesdropping on the deputy county administrator? Well, I'll tell you, it's because the deputy county administrator is the go-between between the Ethics Commission and the county. So when the Ethics Commission needed something or wanted an update on the complaints against Becky, they would call the deputy county administrator. This is how Becky stayed ahead of the investigation. And how did they find out that they were being wiretapped and eavesdropped on? Well, every time they got a call, magically, Becky would appear in some way, shape, or form. Phone call, outside your door, email, I don't know. But she reached out almost every time the Ethics Commission came to call. So they haven't charged her with it yet, but that would allegedly tie her into the eavesdropping case. Fuck up number four. Fuck up number five, here we go. Don't forget that the same night that her son was arrested, there was a search warrant done for Becky's cell phone. Becky had taken her cell phone from the county cell phone lines to her personal account. She removed it from the county paying for it to her personal line. Why would she do that? Because when the Ethics Commission comes in and says, I want your county phone, there isn't one. She can give them whatever new phone she has, but that other phone is now on her personal account and they can't get to it. That is an alleged obstruction of justice, and that will also get you arrested. But here's my favorite one. The seats for this trial were supposed to be on a first come, first served basis. Well, we know that not to be true because even though people were lining outside the door at 7 a.m. and before that, even on some days, Melissa Gordon, the photographer for Becky's book, had a seat in the courtroom every single day. Now, Becky told the Ethics Commission that she did not plan to write this book until after the trial was over. That's when the idea came to her. Why is the photographer sitting in the courtroom every single day? But here's my favorite part. There was a Facebook group called Murdoch Murders, a case discussion. And in that group on July 14th, Melissa Gordon, wife of the ghostwriter, friend of Becky's who was allowed in the courtroom every single day, put a post in there with a picture of Alec Murdoch laying in the holding cell with a book across his lap. And it was titled Waiting on the Verdict to Come In. Now, this picture actually came from surveillance video. That means that Becky Hill allowed Melissa Gordon access to surveillance video. That's video that nobody else had access to. That is video that Becky Hill allowed her to have. And the real shit kicker is that there was a link to additional pictures. And when you clicked on that link to go see the additional pictures, it took you to a page to buy Becky's shitty book. There's also other alleged allegations against Becky, like letting Netflix come in and use the courthouse for their documentary and shutting down early. That's misuse of public funds because the courthouse is supposed to be open and people are being paid and sent home. Letting an author do his book signing there. Either way, a whole bunch of alleged allegations against Becky, one of which is probably going to get her arrested at a minimum. So back to the original question, does Alec Murdoch get a new trial? Yeah, I think so, because try putting Becky Hill on the stand and have her not plead the fifth to any question that she's answered. And if she does not plead the fifth, then her credibility is fucking shot because you've got all of these allegations against you and probably pending charges by the time this comes up. Welcome back.
She cracks me up, but I have to go. So obviously, once again, she's reviewing literally what we reviewed, and it's all alleged. This is not fact. This is what the ethic complaints are about Becky Hill. So I needed you guys to see this so I could take you back over here. Where is it? Oh, maybe I still have it up here, probably, don't I? Yeah. So now you can go back to what he has to say about the book, about Becky and his wife. So I don't believe that Melissa was actually in the courtroom every day. I don't actually think she was. And I think I've watched almost every interview I could find with Becky Hill. And I'd probably have to go back now with this allegation and re-listen to that. But I don't think she ever said she met Melissa before the trial. I'd probably have to go back and listen to everything he said. This guy said too. I think it's always been pretty clear, though, that they met during the trial, according to what statements they're making publicly. But like I said, I digress. That's not really as important. But just remember, obviously, this is all just the complaints that are made. And until something happens, we don't know how much of it is true, not true, what they have to be able to back up and prove what they are claiming. But it's interesting because it's all kind of fitting together.
Very, very unfactual. And the thing that I didn't appreciate is they both have a way to get in touch with me. We had publication.
Just, about 2 hours ago with Fitz News. And my understanding is you're upset with the way all this is being portrayed, the way this is being reported. So what's your side of this? And what did you want to tell us tonight? Because we want to cover every side of every story.
Well, appreciate that, Vinny. First and foremost, besides being Becky's co-author, I'm the husband of Melissa Gordon, who took care of the photography. And I was very, very upset, not only in Will's publication, but also TikTok Lori with her rants the other day. Very, very unfactual. And the thing that I didn't appreciate is they both have a way to get in touch with me. We had booked Becky on Will's podcast right after the trial. So for him to, even though he said the word allegedly, the truth of the matter is these allegations that were made by, again, this anonymous person, anybody can complain about anything. He says they may be ex-employees. Well, okay, that may tell you something right there, but I just want to read to you the things that were said that are completely false. It was said that Melissa was allowed in for 30 straight days, bypassed all the lines, was able to go in, bring her camera, take whatever photos that she wanted, had access to take photos of Alex in the lockup through the security cameras and all of that. Well, number one, I should know she was there 4 days. 4 days.
And again,
She
Melissa
met Becky Hill.
is your wife, right?
That's right.
And she also
She's
took,
my
and I'm
wife,
looking at
and-
the book here, and she took some of the photos in the book. Okay.
That's correct. And they were taken outside. She was not allowed, as you know, Vinny, Court TV was the only broadcasting entity that was allowed to take video inside the courtroom. And I believe the Post and Courier, which is an excellent news organization out of Charleston, was the only ones allowed to take still photographs inside. So let's debunk that right away.
Okay.
Melissa
On
did
that
not
point,
take any
on that
photos.
point, Neil, there is the one photo though, right? I want to put this up so you can respond to it. Again, from Fitz News. In the Post, there was a digital image, and this is from the anonymous ethics complaint. There was a digital image of Alec Murdaugh resting on a bed with a book inside of a holding cell. This post was uploaded by Melissa Gordon, photographer of Behind the Walls of Justice. Gordon stated this image was taken from the security camera monitor during the deliberations and minutes before Murdaugh's conviction. This shows Becky Hill permitted Gordon unimpeded access to the Colleton County Courthouse.
I have to say, it doesn't mean that Melissa's the one who took the or got the unimpeded access. Somebody else could have gotten it and given it to her. Yes, she's the photographer, but that doesn't mean that everything she used was only her photos. You know what I mean? Like somebody back there could have gotten it. Somebody, with that type of access could have gotten it and been like, hey, this was going to be, there was already a book in progress at that point. So I'm just saying.
House and facilitated her in taking digital images that no other citizen was permitted to have. Gordon was also allowed into the courthouse every day of the trial, even though it was admitted there was a limited amount of seating. That entrance was first come, first serve. Okay, so would like you to respond to that.
Absolutely. 100% false, not given any special privileges, waited in line at 4 o'clock, 5 o'clock in the morning like everybody else, was there a total of 4 days, had to leave her phone and her camera in the car, took a selfie, as I told you, on September 5th after the ridiculous press conference that Dick and Jim had, which is being proven to be nothing but a puff of smoke. I mentioned...
This guy just talks like he's in the know of all of this stuff. He speaks for Becky. He speaks for his wife. Like they don't have a voice of their own. And he's just like, I'm gonna come out. And I liked this guy the first go around. I liked him when he was like, hey, I wrote this book. Becky seemed like a nice girl. I don't know if any of this stuff is. I don't really understand what's going on. And now he's doing interviews all over the place. And I think from the way that it's being presented, it's like he's requesting to do the interviews to stand up for him and his wife and for Becky. He's just like, yeah, this is all just proven to be a puff of smoke. What? How is it proving to be a puff? It's progressing. It's progressing quite in the direction against Becky, not for Becky. The stuff that's happened with her son, the fact that they took her cell phone at the same time, this guy, I just don't know. I'm glad he's defending his wife, but he's really putting himself out on a ledge, and I think it's probably for the book because it was a self-published book. So that means that they put their own money into it. And so if the book goes down, that means anything that he has invested into the book also goes with it. I don't know. Somebody like a Becky Hill or a Becky Hill's son. Somebody like Becky Hill is my thought. It's going into her book. Why would she not want a photo like that, right? To help promote that book? I don't know. Oh, shoot. Hold on. I lost you guys. There you are. I lost what tab you were on. Like a steam engine gaining momentum. Yeah. That's what the fixer told him to say. Becky's like, go on there and tell him that this is just a huge puff of smoke and there's nothing to see here. Everybody stop looking. But he's also mad at Will from Fitz News, which I didn't really understand because it is news, regardless whether we think it's going to come to fruition or it's going to end up being true or not true. It is something that's happening. These people did factually file ethics complaints against Becky Hill. So I'm not really sure why he's mad at Will for reporting that happened. You know, and he's like, well, they have my phone number. They could have just called me. Well, that's not what they're going to do. They might get a comment from you, but they still have to cover it. So it's like, it reminds me of when we talk about all these crime cases, it reminds me of the people who are going around and giving the quote unquote inside scoop. And then if you go against their narrative, they don't want to talk to you anymore. That's what he's reminding me of now. That's where I'm at with it. I'm like, so you're mad at Will because he actually read a statement that had your wife's name in it instead of calling you to tell you he was going to read the statement? Yeah, I don't know. I don't like it. So Will didn't go with his narrative, so now Will has to be cut off. Well, I would love to do Karen Reed. I do follow that case. I just have not. Yeah, I would love to. I should. You don't, Rexy, do you think he shouldn't get a new trial because he's guilty, or do you think that he shouldn't get a new trial because you don't think that what she did was unethical or that she even did it? Mama Son, it could be something like that. You should, so that's what they want. The attorneys are discussing, according to Fitz News, are discussing where a new trial would be held. I'm almost at the point where I think that they're not even going to fight it. They're not even going to go through the motions to have to fight a new trial. I think they're probably just going to give him a new trial at this point. That's where I'm at with it. They're just like, let's just do it. And if they do, here's another really big thing. If he gets a new trial, you guys have to remember in the first trial, all those financial crimes, one, they were still pending, and two, they were actually not allowed to be part of the trial. What happened was Jim Griffin opened the door, and essentially what he did was he brought it up, which immediately allowed Creighton Waters to be like, Judge, we weren't supposed to talk about it, and now he's talked about it, so now we get to talk about it. And it added like another 2 weeks to the trial where they got to put in all the information about all the financial crimes. Well, in a new trial, the judge would have to rule again whether that could be brought in or not. And then if it's not, if they don't open the door to it, it may not come in. They may try to do it. It's like the 404A or B. It's one of those. You can't judge the defendant based on all the other crimes that they've committed that don't have to do with the crime that they committed, that they're on trial for. So that could be an interesting twist to what happens. You wouldn't have seen his desperation. Yeah, so that would change the outcome for some people, I think. Hey, Kathy. Hey, Lynn. You hope they come to your county? She should get a trial, not him. I think that's going to be the struggle, is people who just think that he's guilty, just are like, it's done, it's over. And here's the thing. I do not think this is a good guy. I do not think that Alec Murdoch deserves to be just like set free and like, let him go. I just don't think he's a good dude. I know I'm in the minority. I'm just not sure he's the one that pulled the triggers. Right. If she had this type of inside access to the case, she shouldn't have been able to write a book on it either. That's always been my opinion. Okay, bye, Miranda. He does. Have you seen my stapler? Have you seen my red stapler? See my red stapler? Different jury might be a different outcome. Yeah, and I would say not to agree to let people who are testifying have their siblings on the freaking jury, but, you know, hey. His life, that's why I'm like, he's not a good guy. I'm not like, hey, I think that this guy should be set free. But he does deserve a fair trial, as everybody does. So he had to have released those pictures of Alec, too. He couldn't have taken them himself. Someone remotely accessed his tablet and camera probably without him even knowing. I actually thought, I have those. I might have those pictures. Those were terrible photos. I brought them up on a stream one time. We were like, oh my gosh, take them down. I think that whoever he was talking to or whoever he was video chatting with took screenshots of him. That's what I thought about that. You don't know Karen's case? Well, we should dive into it and get to know it. It's chaos too. I would like someone to look into Fitz News' relationship to the Murdoch camp now, though. I think they approached him after he parted ways. Do you really? His family deserved to live, and his clients deserve the money owed to them. Sucks to be Murdoch. You had reasonable doubt up until the last couple of days. So really up until his testimony, what did you think of his testimony? Is that what threw you over? Well, that could be. I mean, it's very possible, Lynn, that it could come to you then if it ends up being a new trial. We don't even know he's getting one. We don't know he's getting one. Yeah, I think he was talking to somebody on there, Southern Street Tattoo. I think he was like, hey, you know, what's up? Hey. If her book makes any money, it should be taken and given to the Murdoch victims. In my opinion, she shouldn't be allowed to make money off her inside info on the case like that. I agree. The problem you're going to run into with that is, one, that she's not a perpetrator to be able to give any money to the victims. And you also have this guy who put a ton of his own money into it, thinking, oh my gosh, what an opportunity. I have this inside scoop with the clerk of court that I'm going to have. I mean, this book's going to be huge. Okay, I'm going to go back to this, though, because we haven't even got to the good part yet, you guys. We haven't even got to the good part.
There on that program that Melissa and Becky took a selfie, which I sent to you. I don't know what you have, but we found it, and it was time stamped for March the 1st at 9:02 in the morning. There it is, or 9:04 in the morning. 9:04. That was, honest to God, hand to God, the first time Melissa met Becky, took a selfie. I sent you some video. Melissa accidentally had her cell phone on record, and they had an exchange. Melissa asked her some questions, and at the very end, she said, "You're Becky, right? I'm Melissa," and then it cut off. But that's the first time she met. So the thought of her planning this with Becky or whatever is absolutely ridiculous. Listen, she got hundreds and hundreds of photos since after the trial and even before the trial for our book. I have no idea who sent her the photo or what have you, but she did not take that photo. She was not allowed to have any recording device. And
again, we're talking about Alec Murdoch resting on a bed during jury deliberations. That photo of the security camera, you're saying Melissa had nothing to do with it.
Nothing to do with it. Now, I will, full disclosure, I was the one that was calling the shots on what photos we should put on social media. And I thought it was fascinating, Vinny. I mean, here he was reading a true crime book, laying down as if he could be having, dinner in his living room as he did for years, and just awaiting his fate. And I just thought it was so interesting. I put it up there, and some people thought it was poor taste. Some people thought it was doctor.
But here's the issue.
And then
the issue was who took the photo? So someone sent it to you, right? Have you gone back in the records to see who sent it?
Not to me. No, absolutely not to me. Melissa took care of all the photography, and all the photos came, and this was probably probably about 5 months ago. So I don't know. If this is part of the investigation, we'll dig through it and we will respond to the investigation.
And it would seem pretty simple.
But I don't have an answer for you.
Yeah, pretty simple to investigate. I mean, just take a look. If there's an email where all this was coming, search the images. You'll find out who sent it
and I couldn't find it.
it.
I did check on my phone. I couldn't find anything. So I'm honestly not sure about that. But so this was all part of it, and basically she got lumped into this. And the part that really concerned me, I mean, Will has done some good reporting on things. He had a good story out today that may go to the grand jury. But man, it's just a simple code. What you said at the beginning, there's two sides of the story. Pick up the phone before you put in there that some anonymous person said Melissa was there for 30 days and got special treatment. That does give somebody the impression that something nefarious was going on, which there wasn't. So look at.
In fairness, though, Will isn't saying that. Will is reading that from the ethics complaint. So I don't, he's like pissed at Will, but Will's just reading a document that was submitted, and that's what the person said. Will's not the one submitting the document, as far as I know, but hey.
That being so inaccurate, then you got all this other stuff.
Let's do this, Neil. Let's do this, Neil, because you mentioned lawyer Lori on TikTok. When we come back, she's going to join us. So you got a bone to pick with her. You let her know. She'll respond. We'll get to the bottom of all of it. I know you've been going back and forth on social media a little bit. We'll do it in person. We're going to do that. Plus, coming up next hour.
Do you guys not, like, Vinny, like, sets this shit up on purpose, or whoever his producers are, like, Vinny, you're going to be in for it tonight. You're going to be in for it tonight. He has these two, oh my gosh, I don't remember. I think they're both lawyers. But he has them on all the time, and they do not like each other. They just do not like each other. He puts them on the show at the same time all the time. And I'm like, why do you do that? Okay, let me fast forward to where he comes back on. Which part? Malicious intent. Tell me I have what? Oh, this part? Yeah. Oh, this is literally when I went into Messenger and I was like, LFTNT, you guys have to watch this. And dinner was like just getting done. Like I was plating all the dinner for like all the kids and stuff. And I was like, just give me 2 minutes. I need to finish it really quick.
Still with us, Neil Gordon. He is Becky Hill's friend, co-author of the book. Joining us tonight in Columbia, South Carolina, criminal defense attorney Lori Murray. You can find her at Lawyer Lori on TikTok. And in Charlotte, North Carolina, host of the podcast, The Murdoch Family Murders Impact of Influence, which is also in the middle of all this. Matt Harris is with us. Great to have everyone here. Okay, Neil, I wanted to get you guys together. Explain to us the why you're upset with Lori.
I just think, maybe I'm old school, like Will that's been in, like Mr. Harris that's been in, mainstream radio and TV news or whatever. Maybe it's different if you're an influencer like Lori on TikTok or whatever, but I still believe there's a responsibility that you have, particularly when you're an officer of the court as an attorney, to speak in a manner that is professional, with professional conduct, and to do your best to tell the truth and not hide behind the fact that somebody anonymous has made all of these allegations. I said it's alleged and think that that's okay. Real people are on the other line. I've just explained how blatantly false what Lori and what Will said occurred as it relates to Melissa being tied into this. I also don't appreciate 15 F-bombs and, substitute the word crap, and many of it around my wife. I don't appreciate that kind of language. And what's really surprising, Lori, is You have a wonderful rating from your clients, 4.9 out of 5. I checked you out. Your clients must be really happy. I know you got 660,000 followers, but I don't know how the hell you sleep at night with that mouth and how you talk to people. It's really, really unfortunate, and I don't appreciate it. And in the immortal words of Will Smith, I'd like you to get my wife's name out of your mouth because you don't know what you're talking about. Certainly related to my wife.
I just can't. He's so serious. He's so serious. So I played her clip for you guys because I wanted you guys to have the context about what was happening here. She's not even, she does cuss. She cusses a lot. I think it's just part of her personality. It's part of what, what sells for her. But he is so, he's so salty. He's just so mad at her. Because she was talking about what happened with this complaint. And she does say allegedly. And I know that becomes like people forget that word is in there. But she's just reading the complaint. She does add some artful, language. But he's like, in the immortal words of Will Smith, keep my wife's name out your mouth. Oh, man. Okay, so now it's Lori's turn. Hold on.
Your turn.
Are you done? Great. Thank you so much.
I think so for now. Oh, you're
Yeah,
welcome.
okay. Well, because you've said a lot. You've said a lot. Oh, no, I think you're quite done. Anyway, let me just say this. There is...
I can't. I gotta go back. He's like, oh, I'm just getting started. She's like, no, I think you're done. He's like, I'm just getting started. He's trying to be ride or die. He's trying to be like so hardcore, and it just does not come off. It just comes off comical to me. Maybe it's just me, but I was just like, he's trying really hard, and you could tell he's really mad. And I do appreciate that he's defending his wife, but I think that he doesn't quite realize that the people he's defending his wife against aren't the ones who put her in this complaint. And I don't think she was brought back there to take photos. I think that there's somebody else who is probably taking photos and sending them to her. Vinny tells him, just go look and see who sent them. Like it would be really easy to prove this. And he's like, well, I looked at my phone. He's like, I could tell Vinny's like, why'd you look at your phone? You just said your wife's the one who does all of it. But man, I was cracking up because he's just so serious. He's all, I'm done. I got to rewind it. I'm going to rewind it because you guys got to hear that part again because it's just so funny. He's like, okay, it's your turn.
Mouth and how you talk to people. It's really, really unfortunate, and I don't appreciate it. And in the immortal words of Will Smith, I'd like you to get my wife's name out of your mouth because you don't know what you're talking about. Certainly related to my wife. Your turn.
Are you done? Great. Thank you so much.
I think so for now. Oh, you're welcome.
Okay. Well, because you've said a lot. You've said a lot. Oh, no, I think you're quite done. Anyway, let me just say this. There is none of this that I said. First of all, I have a First Amendment right to freedom of speech that you seem to have forgotten about. But also, none of this was about you. This was about Becky Hill. You have made it about yourself. You have inserted yourself into this. You have inserted your wife into it. Don't interrupt me, please. Let me talk. I'll let you talk. You've inserted yourself into it because what I did was talk about the complaints that were made against Becky Hill, not the complaints that were made against your wife. Nobody said your wife did anything wrong. But in an effort to garner attention and bring this all back to the book, the terrible book, which that's really, let's be honest, that's why you're mad at me because I've said your book is bad and it is bad. But
not at all.
This is the whole problem. This is why you're upset. This had nothing to do with you. I never talked about you. I never talked about your wife. This is about the allegation against Becky Hill. And you've inserted yourself in there and you've called me names on social media just as well in a private group so nobody can see it, so I can't respond to it. So you've done all of this behind closed doors, trying to hide behind a wall. And,
I've never cussed at you. I've never cussed at you.
You did in your email. Yes, sir, you did in your email. And I can pull it up.
You can. And
No,
I
you said
repeated
it.
what you said. I did. I repeated
Here's the
what you
thing.
said,
All
just
of
what
this-
you said. I
all of this
absolutely
goes
did.
back to whether or not Becky Hill gave you special access and gave your wife special access. You did not answer the question as to where that picture came from. And there are records, the internet lives forever. It's going to come out that you or your wife one was the first one to post that picture and nobody else had access to it. That's against the ethical rules. So that's one. So it's going that's out there. I'm pretty sure that we're going to see that. That's an allegation that I am making. It could be wrong. It could be it's unproven, but it's an allegation. That's what those are. Either way, I haven't seen anybody else post that picture except for you guys. And also, this comes down to when did Becky start writing this book? When did you start having contact with her? Because if she was doing it on the clerk of court's time in the courtroom, then that is a violation of the ethical rules. So the allegation is if she was writing that, I'm not done. If she was writing this while she was in the courtroom or doing her clerk of court duties, then that would seem to be unethical because she's getting paid to be the clerk of court, not to write the book. And if you wait and talk to Matt Harris, who's going to come up next, you're going to find that Becky herself admitted that she started writing this book while she was in the courtroom. And sir, if you want to tell me that you did not have any part in writing this book before this trial was over, I welcome you to submit your phone records. Pull them out there. Let's see your phone records as to when you started talking to Becky Hill.
I'd be happy to. I don't know how.
You gotta watch Vinny's face when he's on the camera. I don't know if his producers set him up for this and he's just like, I hate my fucking job. Or if he's just like sitting back. I know I'm on mute, but you guys can't hear me. I am cracking up laughing. She's like, oh no, I'm still not done. And she really does. I mean, she really puts him in his place, in my opinion.
How many times I have to tell you, I did not meet Becky or speak to her till after the trial. I never went to the trial. My wife did. She went 4 times, not every single day like you reported, without the use of the word allegedly. For 90 full seconds, you berated my wife and tied her in.
In
She's
a video that you
bazillions
published
of
again
comments.
yourself. In a video that you reposted, sir. You reposted that video. You can't come back at me for a video that you reposted and put out there for everybody to see. Because again, it's all about publicity for your book.
Absolutely.
All right, let's do this.
Because
Let's do
I
this.
want to show people.
Okay, let me just do this because I want to get Matt Harris in here. Matt, I want to put something on the screen. This again is from the Ethics Commission Complaint Anonymous from Fitz News. We got this. She admitted to formulating the plan to write her book when she heard the trial would be held in Colton County. She also admitted to meeting Melissa Gordon at the beginning of the trial and discovered she was a photographer. Gordon was soon hired to be the photographer of Hill's book. This information can be found by listening to the podcast Impact of Influence, episode 130, a behind-the-scenes look at the Murdoch trial. Let's take a quick listen to a piece of that great podcast. Here's Becky Hill on the Impact of Influence.
I think I first got the idea to write the book when we were preparing for the trial about 4 months before January of 2023, when we heard that the judge had ordered the trial to be fast-tracked and that it would be held in January. The idea came, and when the trial ended, I took 2 weeks off and to wrap my head around life and getting back to a normal kind of pace. And on the 3rd week, I said, I really need to put this into writing. And that's when it happened. I connected with Neil Gordon, who lives in Augusta with his wife, Melissa, who's a photographer. And she had been to Colleton, and I met her on like the second to the last day of the trial. She and I immediately bonded, and we exchanged names, numbers, and she was telling me a little bit about her husband and the business that he was in. And so we connected about that 3rd week in March, and the idea for the book became born. And
Okay, so she says that she wanted to write the book when she figured out that the trial was coming to Colleton County. That's what she admits to there. But she says she does not meet Melissa until closer to the end of the trial. Now, that's really, I think, what's going to be a question. I don't even know if it's going to matter in the scheme of the ethical complaints, but the fact that they somehow, why did they start talking about writing a book? Was Becky out there telling multiple people that she just randomly met at the trial that she was going to write a book? Or is it because this woman, Melissa, is saying this is what my husband does, so on and so forth, and that's where the idea was born, or what did she refer to it as? I think she said the idea was born for the book, but she knew she was going to write a book back in January before the trial ever started. So there should be a video in the jail of who took that photo. That's true too. I highly doubt they kept anything like that, but
I wrote furiously from the end of March until June, probably June the 1st.
All right, Matt Harris, you spoke with Becky. What's your take on this whole situation?
I think some of the stuff that's getting lost in the weeds is the big argument about whether or not, like, she got special treatment, the photographer or his wife, to get in. I mean, really, that's a small potato thing. That's the least of Becky Hill's worries right now. And I'm not saying she did anything wrong yet. We don't know. It's all going to come out in the wash eventually. But that is a tiny little bit of what's potentially out there if she gave her special treatment or not. I think kind of got hung up on that. But there's no doubt that Becky Hill said she was thinking about writing the book as soon as it was announced that it was going to be fast-tracked to Colleton County. But she doesn't say that she hooked up with the Gordons until later on. And when she hooked up with them, I don't even know if that's really the major issue right now. We've got a whole bunch of other things swirling around her as to things that are questionable with the jury or whatnot. But there's no doubt she was thinking about the book long before, or at least before the trial began.
Well, I think the connection that the defense is trying to make is that she's writing the book. She's giving access to someone. These are the allegations. Again, just allegations that are being denied, right?
Yeah.
Okay, that and this is from the defense, is saying she's writing this book. The book is only good if he gets convicted, so she's going to influence the jury to get the verdict that she wants for the book, and they're trying to put that all together.
They are.
So that's why each piece, I think, is significant, and why each piece you have to get to the truth of it.
Right, you do have to get to the truth of it, because that's the job of the state. I mean, they are the ministers of justice. They are not the ministers of we win at no matter what cost. And I think what they're going to run into is any of these allegations end up being true or proven, or she gets indicted or things like that. That is the state's only witness against these other jurors. Now, all of a sudden, if these things come to fruition, I'm going to say that now you have your only witness as to I didn't talk to the jury as being someone who may be less than credible. So at that point, do you say, let's not even bother with the evidentiary? Because it's just her word, this person who's been proven to be not credible, who's been telling lies, versus this juror. Now, again, I'm not saying Becky's guilty of anything like that, but if all that stuff happens, then it seems to me they might just say, hey, let's just do the new trial, because our only witness has got a lot of stuff going on here.
All right.
Right. Her credibility is going to be shot. And I think that at this point, they're probably going to be able to even bring in the complaints, even though they are alleged. They would be able to use them and say, hey, people that she works with are seeing an issue with this. And she openly admitted that she knew while she sat there in that courtroom, she knew already she was going to write a book. So her thought process would be about her book and what she's going to be putting in there.
We've got a lot going on right here. So before we run out of time, I'll give everyone like another 15, 20 seconds to kind of make your final points. Laura, you want to go first?
I don't know how Vinny just cracks me up here, because he's just like, go ahead. You got another 15 seconds. They don't, they can't do this in 15 seconds.
Sure. I agree with Matt. These are allegations against Becky. This is a complaint that was supposed to be anonymous. The complaint was given to two different people, the person who wrote it and to Becky Hill. So if it has been leaked, it was leaked by one of the two of them. I have seen it. I have a copy of it. And so, of course, did Fitz News. But The issue again here with Mr. Gordon is that he is blaming me for talking about the allegations against Becky Hill. You lack standing, sir, to come at me. I was talking about Becky, not about you, but you've made this about yourself, and that is where we have a problem. I'm sorry you disagree with my use of words. I have colorful language, and I don't apologize for that. I can clean it up just like I can bring it down. So I don't apologize for it. That is who I am, and I have First Amendment right to say my words.
Well, you're an officer of the court, and there are professional standards and conduct. And I've sent your little rant onto them at the Supreme Court in South Carolina. I hope you get sanctioned, because you've really lost your way on that. And clearly, that little podcast showed what I've been saying since I was on the program back on September the 5th, which is. Melissa met her on March the 2nd, March 1st. It was time-stamped. She was there a total of 4 days. Becky did write some material or think about material during the trial, and then contacted me 3 weeks later, which.
Okay, did you guys hear what he just said? He says that Becky did write some stuff or contemplate some stuff during the trial. I think he's just really mad about his wife being involved in any of this, but just like, no, she's going to be, he sent her rant from TikTok to the Supreme Court of South Carolina. I can't. And he hopes that she gets sanctioned for cussing on TikTok. I can't do it, man. It just cracks me up. I'm like, does he really? No, she's not going to get sanctioned. She's not going to get sanctioned for cussing on TikTok. That's not how that works. It's not going to happen. But he's so pissed that she said his wife's name that I think he probably would smack her like Will Smith did. I just can't with this guy. He's so serious. Yeah, the Supreme Court's like, oh, lawyer Lori on TikTok, we're coming for you. Oh, I can't.
Which is exactly what I said. And then we began writing. I don't know how much. Well, you keep saying that I did this before and this was all planned. That's garbage. You don't have your facts straight.
No, sir, I didn't mention you at all. Your name didn't come out of my mouth. Your name never.
We're going to leave it there for tonight.
Get my wife and I are one. I don't know if you're married, but we're one.
Okay, let's leave it there for tonight. We're out of time, Lori. Lori, we're out of time. Say goodbye to everyone. There we go. All right. Thank you to everyone for speaking your piece. Neil Gordon. The book is Doors of Justice. The Murdoch Murders, Behind the Doors of Justice. Lori Murray, TikTok, lawyer Lori on TikTok. And of course, Impact of Influence, the podcast. We'll speak again, folks. We'll do it again.
Oh my gosh. We'll speak again. I don't think you will. I mean, you will, Vinny, but I don't think these guys are going to be talking to each other. But he is cracking up. He's just down here just like, I'm just eating popcorn. Yeah, her son got charged with wire tampering, and they confiscated her phone when he was arrested to see what information he was passing on to her. I'm telling you that. So I was like, I have to talk Murdoch because this is just too much. He's so salty. He's so salty. I believe you have my stapler. Do you have my stapler? And he's going to go on there and be like, Lawyer Lori, you took my stapler, my red stapler. I held Brock on the phone to my pharmacist last night. Oh, shit. You're going to get sanctioned. Oh, man. This guy is just hilarious to me. And he starts to say it again. Just keep my wife's name out your mouth. He's like, you married? My wife and I, we're one. We're one. It makes me want to go back to Delphi. I ginger snaps. Yeah, he will. That's what I'm like. I'm not really worried about that part, but I do think that, I think it would be interesting. It'll be interesting to get a new trial in that case. And see what is and isn't allowed in and what they do differently than they did the first time. Like, oh, yeah, it's going to get TikTok sanctioned. But he's like, I looked into you. And you had a 4.9 rating. Like, why are you being so creepy? What do you mean you looked into her? Because she's talking about an alleged complaint. The person he needs to be pissed off at is the person who wrote the complaint. That's the reason it's there. That's the reason it's alleged, not the people who talk about the complaint. I mean, that's like literally anybody who's talking. We'll just use Delphi just because we talk about it so much right now. It's alleged that Richard Allen committed those crimes. Could you imagine if Kathy Allen comes out and she's like, leave my husband's name out your mouth? Like, no, it doesn't really work that way. It's still public. Oh man, his wife has just got to be in the background somewhere just cringing, just going, oh my God, what did I do with my life? What did I do with my life? I am impressed that he sticks up for his wife, though. I have to say, I do. I appreciate that he is, but come on. You're getting really mad about and you're gonna send her TikTok to the Supreme Court. I just can't do it. If it's false, I'd be more concerned with slander than sanctions. Right. But I think that the bigger issue isn't going to be the people who talk about the ethical complaint as committing slander or libel or any of those things. It's going to be the person who wrote it. It's still going to come down to the person who wrote it. That's where the bigger issue is still going to lie, even if he's right. But she does say that she was going to write the book, that she knew she was going to write the book when she knew the trial was coming to Colleton County. He says, so he's on here trying to defend her, but he actually slips up and says she was writing, and he does the hand motion of writing. Hey, Devil Doll. Watching the background or catch up. Watch the Bob Mata live the other night. Oh, thank you. I love Bob. Just JoJo. It's just this guy. I was crying, laughing last night. I was like, I got to talk to you guys about this. Keep my wife's name out. She's just smiling away. Here, I'm going to go back to, do I have it up over here still? Because she has more. Let me see if I can pull him back up. Oh. She just makes me laugh.
Welcome back to the shit show, everybody. Here is where the shit show meets the Murdoch case, courtesy of the Clerk of Court, Becky Hill. So while Becky... Well, never thought I would be a part of this shit show, but thank you, Neil Gordon, co-author of Behind the Scenes of Justice with Becky Hill, for changing that all for me and let me start in my own show. If you haven't been following this particular shit show, let me do a little recap for you. See, a couple of days ago, I did a video on the allegations filed against Becky Hill with the South Carolina Ethics Commission. And in that video, I mentioned Mr. Gordon's wife. Now, this complaint was filed against Becky Hill, and part of the allegation included the fact that she may or may not have let Melissa Gordon into the courthouse. Now, we all know that she let a lot of people into the courthouse that didn't have to wait in line, but this particular allegation said it was Melissa Gordon. At the beginning of this video, I said these are allegations. I said alleged several times in the video. But Mr. Gordon here has taken extreme exception to the fact that his wife was mentioned. Or he just wants attention for his book. Mr. Gordon demanded that I make an immediate retraction, which I did not do, but I did post another video explaining what the words alleged mean, so maybe that he could understand that. And I also went a little further into whether or not Becky would be allowed to have written this book, whether it was an ethics violation for her to have written the book. But behind the scenes, in private groups, not public groups, private groups, Mr. Gordon's been running his mouth a little bit. Lawyer Lori is dangerous. Please get the kids away from a link I am sharing, and please get your popcorn out tonight. I'm going to let her know personally how I feel tonight at 8 p.m. on Court TV and try to educate her on do no harm journalism. Sir, I've read your book. You don't need to be educating anybody on journalism. Also, please raise your hand if you think I'm a journalist and not a lawyer. Nobody? Me either. And so, Mr. Gordon, I can't wait to hear what you have to say tonight at 8 p.m. on Court TV. Personally, I don't think you should poke this bear. I don't think you want the smoke. But hey, whatever sells books, right? Well, I never thought I would be a part of this.
I'm going to let her have it on Court TV tonight. I can't. You guys are gonna tune in. Get your popcorn. This guy's so serious. He's so serious. Let me find her other one. Hold on. She has another one on here. Is it this one? It might be this one.
As you might recall, I did a video last week about the allegations included in the complaint filed with the South Carolina Ethics Commission against Becky Hill, clerk of court in the Murdoch case. Included in those allegations was the allegation that Becky Hill had let the photographer for that book into court every day without waiting in line, and that therefore they had been planning to write this book all along. Well, as you can see, the co-author of this book was not a fan of that video and is demanding an immediate retraction. Sorry to disappoint you, Mr. Gordon, but I retract nothing. This was an allegation included in the complaint against Becky Hill. I clearly stated so at the beginning of the video. I clearly stated that these were allegations, and I said allegedly many times during that video. But what I will do is make sure that everybody out there understands what the words alleged and allegations mean. The fact that your wife may or may not have been allowed into the courtroom every day by Becky Hill makes no difference to me. It was an allegation included in the complaint, meaning that it has not been proven. It was an allegation included in the complaint. And this complaint was filed against Becky Hill. It was not filed against your wife. It was not filed against you. It should have no bearing on you. So retraction, no, because what I said was this was an allegation included in the ethics complaint. I did not say it was a fact. I said it was an allegation. But I will do you one solid, because I did go back and look at the ethics advisory letter sent to Becky Hill when she asked whether she could write this book in the first place. What I paid attention to in this advisory letter were the first two prongs of the test. I did not pay as much attention to the third prong as I should have. And when I am wrong, I will admit that I am wrong. The first prong is, did the opportunity to write this book arise out of your employment? Clearly it did. The second prong is, was the subject matter something that is related to your job? Yes, it is. The third prong is where it gets sticky. The third prong is whether this is something you would do in the normal course of your business, such that you may be reimbursed by the clerk's office. No, it is not. And therefore, I cannot say that it was unethical for Becky Hill to write this book. Do I think it was a good decision to write the book? No. Do I think it was a very well written book? No. Honestly, your email was better written than this book. However, I cannot say that it was an ethical violation for her to write this book unless she was doing it on her clerk of court time. Which brings us back to the allegation included in the complaint against Becky Hill, filed with the South Carolina Ethics Commission. Did I file that complaint? No. Did I tell you what it said? Yes. Is it an allegation? Yes. Is it a fact? No. It could be, but it's not proven yet. And by the way, you called me a potty mouth in your private Facebook group. Well, no shit. I mean, my mom has been trying to change that about me for years, but if she hasn't been able to, I can guarantee you, you ain't gonna be able to. But telling me that I fucked up, it's a little hypocritical, don't you think? So have a nice day, Mr. Gordon. Try to remember these were not allegations against you or your wife. They were allegations against Becky Hill, trying to determine whether Becky started writing this book while she was on the county dime. Not everything's about you.
I just don't know. I mean, she's just got so many good points. I just don't know. I don't even know what to say. I don't even have to say anything. She says it all. He is literally inserting himself into Becky Hill drama so that he can sell his books, and I believe defend his wife, because I think that he was genuine in the defense of his wife. But I love Lori. Oh, she's just like, and then you wrote in there that you fucked up. And you guys saw when I played the court TV clip, she's like, you cussed in the letter, in the email you wrote me. He's like, no, I used quotation marks. Why did he use quotation marks when he's quoting Will Smith? Oh, shit. She talks so much shit about this book. She always says how bad it is. And I think that's really pissing him off because he was the ghostwriter. Oh, shit. Oh. So this is Lawyer Lori on TikTok. If you guys aren't following her, you might want to, because it's just it's a fun little place. I don't think this is the right. No,
this
is
not seen this video.
That's the other one. That's the one we already played. You guys should go follow her. If you guys are on TikTok, Lawyer Lori. She's got a new fan here, I'll tell you that. All right, so once again, I think that she covers it. It's hi MK. It's all alleged. These are actual complaints that were filed against Becky Hill. Becky Hill's son was actually arrested. They actually came and took Becky Hill's phone to see if he was giving her the information. So it would be interesting, Lynn, to know if Judge Newman knew anything about if she was going to be writing a book or not. I don't think so, but one of the reasons that he ended up recusing himself, besides the fact that I think he's just done with Murdoch anyway, but recusing himself from anything that has to do with the future of a trial, is because they're going to have to go through an evidentiary hearing to determine if Becky Hill acted inappropriately. And in that evidentiary hearing, he most likely would be a witness, because he has to go on the stand and talk about what interactions he had with Becky, what Becky was able to, or what Becky brought to him to be able to remove this egg lady from the jury, and how those interactions went. And there is a clip of Judge Newman afterward where he finds out that Becky Hill was talking to the juror in her office, and you can tell he's not happy about it. But I think that there was a lot of trust there at the time, so he can't oversee anything really that's going to have to do with this. And then like I said, he wants to retire anyway. So if he could potentially be a witness at the evidentiary hearing to see if Alec gets a new trial. If Alec gets a new trial, we will have a new judge. Is it a spy app? Not that I'm aware of. I think I don't know. Not that I'm aware of. Oh, is that the one that they're saying that they're going to try to ban in different places? Oh, maybe. Yeah. I don't know. They could spy on us any which way they want. She's giving Taco Bell a smackdown? I don't know. Here.
Oh my God, who knew that Taco Bell was the dumpster fire of all fast food restaurants?
There you go.
You might want to think twice before you go jingling the bells at Taco Bell. Or this could be your kind of party, and you might want to know where this Taco Bell is located. A former California Taco Bell employee is suing Taco Bell for harassment, retaliation, discrimination, all of the other Asians, because of things that happened at a Taco Bell Christmas party in 2022. The party was billed as a potluck-style buffet dinner.
I don't know. I don't even know if I want to know. I don't know if I want to know. Don't go ruining Taco Bell. I like that she tags guacamole, though. She's got a sense of humor. I mean, come on. You got to give her that. Yeah, I think he's a bit of a snowflake. Yes, I do. All right, I'm going to wrap it up. I'm going to go get some lunch, and then I'm going to go pick up kiddos from school. And then I won't be back tonight. I got the little has his Christmas show, so he's going to be singing me and the whole audience, not just me. It's not just him and I, singing his little Christmas songs. So I won't be back tonight, but I will be back mañana. And I don't know what we'll talk about, but I'm trying to catch up and get up to date on all the other things that I like to follow and cover, since I've been so sucked into the Delphi rabbit hole, all the rabbit holes of Delphi, I should say. And I'm hoping that maybe if I take a break and go back to covering some of the other things that I like to look at, then maybe it'll give me some perspective when I do go back over there. So that's where I'm at with that. And unless there's an order from the Supreme Court, then we'll be here. Other than that, go enjoy the rest of your Tuesday, and I will see you guys tomorrow. I appreciate each and every one of you guys for being here. I know you guys have 1,000 other things that you could be doing or other places you could be watching, and you choose to be here with me, and it means the world to me. Go enjoy your day. Have a good one.